Hello, it's November 2022, and maybe every few years I'll do a video like I'm about to do, and that is to briefly go over what my channel is about. I know some people they might find a video that's of interest to them and then find that I talk about other things that trigger them or whatever. So hopefully this kind of sheds some light on my efforts, my channel, my videos. So I want to start off by highlighting the fact that my channel is primarily dedicated to whistleblowing and exposing first-hand knowledge, specifically about, for example, sex trafficking or sexual abuse. Now, I've done videos where I've shared a personal story on this directly, vicariously, and then as a third party, I suppose. And this has to do with my personal life, the woman that I married, as well as the city of Calgary in Alberta, Canada. So that's the primary focus of my channel. A lot of people ask me a lot of questions, so I give answer to those questions as well. And I give a perspective, input that I can guarantee most people do not have. And that has to do with, for example, the paths in life that I've walked and first-hand knowledge. I've also shared my personal life, and that's probably the hardest part to share with the world, because believe it or not, I'm a very private person. This includes, for example, the living in the aftermath of the injustice of my efforts, for example, in the city of Calgary. And I've shared even moments of how post-traumatic stress impacted me, or it does impact me still, to show the human side. And this segues into my sharing my personal life to show that I am a human being. I have a life outside of, for example, whistleblowing, exposing, and giving input about the world that we live in from a perspective most people don't have. And some of these topics I talk about, especially with my personal life, for example, sharing my death experiences and near-death experiences, two different things, which includes some controversial topics like abortion. It shouldn't be controversial because it's murder either way, but my surviving abortion and the 2 times that I died by drowning, and then near death, for example, being beaten by a gang in junior high, being left for dead, and being deliberately poisoned for some sort of insurance trust fund, which eventually was stolen from me anyway, but anyway, I digress. Just want to simply give some examples here. And then other topics, because of the death experiences, I do talk about the spiritual side of life. And I suppose what even some people have said that makes my input on that interesting is, you know, I came into this world dead for 45 minutes. So I had no influence of, say, for example, religions or belief systems or anything else. And my foundation as a descriptive spiritually really is based on that before there was any influence, you know, from being a baby, an infant, and for the first several years. So I offer that input, and some of that input triggers people. Even the topic itself can trigger people. So I've shared a lot about my personal life, again, to show the human side and how injustice for trying to do the right thing destroyed my life. And it's very hard, especially now, living as I have been for many, many years. It's humiliating. And I guess, in a nutshell, where I am with everything in my life it's more frustrating than bitterness or anything else. The frustration of having to live in the aftermath, for example. And I know people have even called me a hero and everything else, or, giving me positive compliments like that, and I thank them for that, but I'm not a hero or anything else. I just did what I did. Never dreamt that, for example, my efforts in the city of Calgary would have had evolved into something so big. But it is what it is. And now that I'm dealing with some personal health issues, again, that's also not easy to share. And I share what I feel comfortable sharing at this time anyway, and I don't want to speculate, especially now with seeing this new doctor and what he thinks that he can do for me, until I know for a fact, and I have some facts. Now, everything that I've shared in my videos on all these topics, I've supported with a plethora of independent evidence. And even some videos that I've done over the years, and even the intro video to my channel here, I don't say a word, I just show independent evidence, which includes audio recordings, secretly done, to showing screenshots, for example, of trial transcripts, affidavits that I've signed, naming names, and there's even an affidavit that was drafted for Douglas Merchant, who interfered with the criminal proceedings of allegedly assaulting a police officer in obstruction. And again, a lot of people, I think, miss the fact that they needed me convicted because I was suing them. And they dragged the trial for those two alleged charges beyond the limitation period for me to sue. And so basically on the 11th hour, I had to file my materials or I would have lost that opportunity to sue. And ultimately it took them 49 months to convict me of both those charges. I've had two lawyers in the start that I terminated. I took over the trial because of my law background. I guess they never expected anyone, or that I would have that working knowledge of law. And filed my appeal materials after the convictions in July of 2016. And even though I filed my materials, I had two different lawyers for each stage of the appeal process take over, thinking, well, I filed the materials, they can't ignore that, but obviously they did. So I've shared a lot. I've shared a lot with independent evidence with regards to my personal life. I've probably shared more than really what I wanted to. But my life's on the internet, and my efforts are on the internet. And I also have shared evidence of my career history and everything else. And the problem that I'm facing now, living in the aftermath of my efforts, is the fact that I was on May 4th, 2013, the two former police officers had, well, just to reiterate this part of the story, came to my window, sucker punched me, knocked me out, which I don't have any recollection of, which was used against me during the trial, but whatever. The other one had put a gun to my head. They handcuffed me and beat me, and it took them about 6 months to get images of the major injuries due to the swelling. The hospitals couldn't get the images because the swelling was so intense. So that left me partly disabled. And with the criminal record, I cannot obtain employment reflecting my education or career history. And then now compounding that with this new, for example, health issues that I'm dealing with, and some previous ones, and just other things that come with age. It's left me in a situation that I cannot, at least at this time, obtain employment. And that's probably the most frustrating part in living how I have been. I never set out to be anything more, and I'm not anything more than just your average person who perhaps has walked paths that most people haven't walked and been exposed to information that most people may only hear about and think as conspiracies. I'm not a truther, I'm not a freedom fighter, I'm not against any particular group or organizations. I am not anti-establishment. I wouldn't say that I'm an anarchist. Definitely not a conformist. I'm not politically correct. I'm old school. I remember the day when feelings didn't get hurt, and you pretty much said, usually in jest. And that's the difference. When you say something in jest as opposed to wanting to harm someone verbally. So I'm very old school. I'm not politically correct. So, that triggers a lot of people, especially in today's world. And depending on what part of Canada you're in, some parts are very politically correct. That's not me. And I've mentioned in videos how people tend to, if something triggers them, somebody might say yes, they support, for example, my efforts, or they accept things that I've said, but there might be one thing, one phrase, one word even, that they don't like. And we live in a world of cancel culture. And I've taken my experiences and my efforts in my life, and throughout my life, learning about the world that we live in. And I've highlighted many times that we are in the last stage of civilization, the age of decadence. And we repeat history because history is forgotten either by chance or design. What usually follows is the demise of civilization. And this is where we are today. And I really try to highlight, for example, the psychological perspective of the world today, and how that is being used to, maybe by chance and design, to destroy as a descriptive humanity. And I use a lot of overlays, and sometimes the overlays support something that I'm saying in the video. Sometimes they tell a completely different story that does tie into, for example, a topic of a video. So there's a lot of information that I give, and for some people it's just too much. For a lot of people, the truth is too much, and I understand that. We're not all equal, and that is a trigger right there for many people, but it's reality. Anyway, I just want to do a real quick video explaining briefly my channel, who I am, and my efforts. And hopefully you come across this video and you get an idea, and if you subscribe, great. If you don't, you don't. Couldn't care less. I'm not here to be popular, definitely not popular. I'm not even popular online because I've shown evidence, again, independent evidence, how I'm shadow banned, how my view counts on my videos drop. There's been a couple times in real time, right in front of me, and I've been able to capture that, how my comments either disappear completely or I'm the only one that can see that, and that's on any platform. I've even had, for example, on the very famous social media group, my story in print, in detail, supported with links for PDF downloads, taken down as misinformation, as if this particular platform knows my story better. They don't even know my story, which tells me that I'm triggering people to flag, or the algorithms are, as we all know, completely insane. So judging someone, for example, by view counts or their popularity online is no way to judge someone. We have people who do content that's very entertaining, and they're making money off of this. I'm not making any money off of my efforts. And I'm not saying anything bad about people who provide entertaining content. But still, it reflects, for example, we can parallel that with Rome. People wanted games and food, and they want to be happy. And for a lot of people, going on the internet, watching entertaining things is an escape from reality. And the last thing they want to do is feel more of the descriptive pressure of reality when they're trying to escape it. And I get that. Anyway, I just want to thank everyone for their support, and thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.